Hello and welcome to this episode of the Buried Rap Podcast. Today is episode 10, and I'm going to be talking about my background. I think it's really important for anyone who's consuming content to understand the author behind said content, whether it be a book, a poem, a movie, a news article, anything. If there's an author behind it, there's some sort of bias and reasoning behind what's going on. And I think it's important to kind of look under the hood a little bit. And for me, if I want to figure out what's going on, I would rather just have it all in one place. So I'm just going to smush as much of my biography into one place as I can. So this is me making an autobiography right now in video format. I hope you enjoy. I hope this gives you more context for my opinions, the way I think, how I think, why I think the way I do, all those things, and more. So yeah, and if not, I hope it's at bare minimum at least a little bit entertaining to hear about me. So yeah, I'm going to start with the fact that, one, you can't see me. I don't put my face up like that. I don't really, just for privacy reasons, I feel like it's better to kind of keep myself separate, or keep my face separate from this, at least for now. I don't know, it might change in the future, but I really value my privacy, so that's why these are like this so far. But yeah, the reason I bring that up is because you cannot see my face, so a lot of visual indicators about me aren't gonna be, expressed through this medium. I'm Black and Haitian on my dad's side, and then descendant of slavery, Black in the South on my mom's side. I have family from pretty much all over the East Coast of the United States. A lot in New York, some in Miami, a lot in Georgia, places in South Carolina as well. That might be it, to be honest, but, and I am I'm not the only person, but me and my, immediate mom's side of the family are the only people who are up in Pennsylvania. And I guess this leads me on to my upbringing. So I was born in Atlanta, Georgia. I lived in the metro area for 7 or 8 years and then moved to Pittsburgh. While I was in Atlanta, I went to a private Montessori school, and I think that really kind of laid the foundation for my thought pattern and the way I think. Montessori school is very practical. It's a lot of hands-on learning and learning for yourself and for the sake of curiosity, not just learning because there's a test and you have to. So anytime we had a question, it was more so like we need to... It's the kid that wants to figure out an answer to a question. It's not a teacher saying, you have to know the rock cycle for this test. Or you have to know, I don't know, the water cycle, or what a butterfly is, or something like that, It's not something that you prepare for a test. We didn't have tests, no homework, nothing like that. And I have an entire separate video about Montessori schools, but I think it's important to say that I think that laid the groundwork and the foundation for who I am as a person today. I moved to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I guess outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So not within the city limits, but, the area. There's a lot of really good public education here, not only within the city limits, but, outside. A lot of the suburbs have really, 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 highly ranked public school systems. So I think in places like the South, which is why we moved up here in the first place, but in places like the South, it's a lot more, you have to pay for private school, not because you want to, but because the public education is so crap. Teachers don't get paid enough, students don't want to pay attention, there's not enough resources for anyone involved, to be honest, and it's slowly letting itself crumble. Obviously, that's not the entire South, but, generally that is what's happening. And a lot of it is rooted in racism, and that could be its own whole episode, to be honest. But yeah, that's why I moved to Pittsburgh, is for education specifically. And continuing my education, I am now I guess I'll be a rising junior. Whoa. I just finished my sophomore year at the University of Alabama, Roll Tide. I didn't want to go there. Which, okay, let me say, it was my second to last choice. My last choice was Georgia State University. Go Panthers, I guess. Sorry, no offense to anyone who goes there. That's a good school. They actually had a really good program for my major, but the University of Alabama is covering my tuition. I was there for a diversity scholarship that doesn't exist because DEI is illegal in Alabama now, which I know, great, but yeah, I was there for a diversity scholarship, not only for, just being a black student, but because I'm academically inclined, I would say, a lot more now than I used to be in high school, but I had always been a pretty decent student. Like, I understood everything. I was smart. I just didn't necessarily put it into action until college. Yeah. But I'm on a really big scholarship that covers my tuition, and it covered a year of housing, which is why I went to the University of Alabama specifically. I'm really grateful for the opportunities that have been presented to me, the resources that are available, a lot of great staff and faculty, but, that was not my top choice. I did not want to live in the South again, but it's where I am, and it's kind of where I have to be for the next few years, so, yeah. And again, I want to make it abundantly clear, I am very thankful, and I know I have a really privileged position to say that I didn't want to go to Alabama, because that's some people's dream school, and some people, don't make the cut to get in. But for where I was at, that was below my standards for me, personally. It was not my first choice, but I'm glad that I had the opportunity, and I'm glad that I could keep myself out of debt as much as possible, compared to some people who are going to their dream schools but are going to be in mountains of debt afterward. Yeah, college has been kind of hard for me, but it's okay because I'm working through it. It's just been like social life hasn't been as good. I had a much better social life in high school, to be honest. I did rowing for 4 years in high school. I tried it for a year at Alabama, hated it, and just haven't been able to find anything since. So I'm still looking around. That's just how college goes. You float in and out of different circles all the time. Maybe rowing is something I should talk about, is that I did that for, freshman through senior year of high school. In college, I became a coxswain full-time. And in high school, I was a lot heavier, so I was, only a rower. I lost a lot of weight in between. Well, not in between, but, toward the end of high school. But, yeah, and I've changed. That Mitski song of I've been big and small and big and small and big and small again is kind of how I feel sometimes. I think there's a lot to say about how societal expectations have affected my personal experiences with appearance. Obviously, race, gender, those have a lot to play in the role of how I see myself and how other people view me, but I try to pay attention to when something like that happens, of when I think a certain way about myself, and what the real reason behind it is, if that makes sense. Back to the university thing. So I'm majoring in linguistics, which is the study of language. I'm doing it interdisciplinary through the new college program at Alabama, where they let me have some say in what classes I'm going to take. So it's not like they consider it design your own major, but there are a lot of requirements that you have to fulfill, to a point where I'm like, am I really designing my own major, or am I just I don't know. not that I don't have any say whatsoever, but it's like you have to have this number of these upper level credit classes, and you can't have this, and you need to, have a good balance between breadth and depth of study. Of, are you going to focus on something super specific, or are you going to go more broad with it? And for me, it's been great because I've been able to explore through linguistics through different departments, like the English department of like literature and writing, foreign language department with writing as well, the communicative disorders department, so a kind of clinical analysis of language, a lot to do with the brain, a lot to do with society and ableism, a lot to do with like neuroscience and physiology and anatomy. So, I get that kind of side as well. There's a history side, there's an anthropology side. There's a lot that I get to explore with my major specifically. It's definitely not for everyone to do it that way, but that was the way that made sense for me. And I want to be a professor in linguistics, which is why I'm pursuing it right now. So, yeah, I want to be able to learn as much as I can from as many different angles as I can, because it'll make me, more well-rounded and have more experience in different things. I'm also minoring in German. I've been learning language since I was 3 years old, apparently. I was learning Chinese when I was 3. I didn't know until I found a tape recorder of me, like, speaking to a Mandarin teacher in Mandarin, like, repeating words back at her as, a little toddler. But yeah, I've been learning Chinese since I was 3, and then I stopped. Learned Spanish for a couple years, French outside of school while doing Spanish in school. Then I stopped the French, continued Spanish in school, did a little bit of French in school, then German in school in 6th grade, and I've been doing German ever since. And this, like, finishing my sophomore year is actually me wrapping up my formal in-school German career, which is really weird because it's been with me for almost a decade now. And I don't know how to feel, to be honest, of like, did I learn all this German for nothing? I don't know. I still, as frequently as I can, try to interact with German media, whether it be like, I get German TikToks here and there, or I'll watch a news article or news report in German just to see like what politically is happening in Germany I find interesting. Things like that. So, yeah, minoring in German. I also love language as like a window to culture. You learn a lot about a person's culture through their language. Yeah. And lastly, I said it already, but I want to be a professor, which is why I'm majoring in linguistics and minoring in German. I'm going to seek a master's degree after undergrad, hopefully. And even more hopefully a PhD after that, if possible. There are some places where you can do both at the same time, which I'll try to do. But yeah, anyway, I think that's pretty much my background of who I am, where I come from, what I'm doing. This podcast is kind of a personal outlet, really, for me to give my thoughts, but I hope this gives you more insight onto why I have the thoughts I have. Anyway, please remember to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell, and I will see y'all in the next episode. Bye-bye!